All right, not the start that we wanted under Wilfried Nancy. A 2-1 defeat at home to Hearts. Kieran Tierney scored our goal pretty late on. We're here to discuss that today. First of all, just big thanks to Practical CBT. They are your route to great mental health. They offer short online courses and affordable Zoom coaching sessions for you. And as a Celtic AM viewer or listener, you can get a major discount. Just check out the link in the description to get started. Stevie is here too to discuss the defeat to Hearts. Bit of a bleak day, Stevie, and I'm not just talking about the weather.
Yeah, rubbish all in. I think out of all the games at Celtic Park that I've been in this season, that's definitely the lowest point I've had. In saying that, I've not been to many out of protest, but that was a shocker today. Really poor. And first and foremost, no excuses. Hearts deserve the win. Can't turn around and blame anyone else. Got what we deserved today, Hamish.
What was so bad about it then? Because I was kind of going into the game and quite looking forward to it, and new manager in and pretty full crowd. And I thought the crowd was, fairly good. I don't think it was a total sellout, but it seemed like quite a good crowd. I thought you were there, so you might disagree with this, but certainly in the telly at the start of the game, it sounded loud enough, especially with the fact there was none of the kind of Green Brigade there in the standing section, which is obviously its own story, and I think is really disappointing in a new manager's first game that we've got that going on, but that is the situation. But I thought the atmosphere sounded all right, but it just kind of turned a bit bleak.
Combination of things. I think the Green Brigade thing, I think for a new manager's first game, they do bring a lot of atmosphere and noise, regardless of your thoughts on them. And that area today was so bleak. I mean, here's one for you. During You'll Never Walk Alone, before the start of the game, at the standing section, you had banners held up in protest against the boards rather than the crowd all fully getting behind You'll Never Walk Alone as an anthem. And that itself told its story. The fact that it's a Sunday game, the fact that it was genuinely miserable, the rain did not stop from 1 o'clock all the way to it's actually still pelting outside my window. That was a big part of it too. I think the timing of the manager coming in says a lot as well, with the fact that he was succeeding the iconic, legendary Martin O'Neill, who's exceeded expectations at Celtic, was another factor. So yeah, I sent you a wee clip of I tried to get some footage of when the managers was read out today, and the reaction to it. Now, I took one against Falkirk when Martin O'Neill came back, and that was a real rapturous reception he got, whereas I think Wilfried Nancy got a really timid, lukewarm reception. And it was evident today during the game. I know you're just asking about the factors leading into the game. I'm probably going a wee bit further ahead here, Hamish, but 30 minutes into the game, bear in mind it was 0-0 at this point. We started okay. Hearts maybe gradually got into it, but they hadn't created a chance. But 30 minutes into the game, I had people round about me, like screaming, why was Martin O'Neill chucked for this? And it wasn't chucked; it was out of his own. It was his own decision. But the very fact that at 0-0 we were still in the game, hadn't conceded that farcical opener, and you had people round about already questioning why is Martin O'Neill been allowed to leave the club, and I do feel that's going to really overshadow Wilfried Nancy. Maybe in his first couple of weeks. So he has got a massive week next week and he needs to get it right. I think winning a cup will go a long way towards that. I mean, if he could beat Roma too, that would be huge. But he's off to a bad start. And obviously that's the circumstances, I think, that led to the general bleakness today, Hamish.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great point you make. It's a point a lot of people are making about the fact that he's come in after Martin O'Neill, who's a club legend. And I mean, I guess the positive would be that Martin O'Neill steadied the ship and gave the players some confidence back. But the difficulty is, and again, a lot of people were a bit concerned about this happening, and it has happened, that you have Wilfried Nancy coming in after Martin O'Neill's won, was it 7 and 8 and 5 games in a row, and Feyenoord and Rangers and all of these league wins, and then Nancy comes in, and I know he's kind of hamstrung to an extent, pretty large extent, by the squad and the lack of quality that we have, but he can't really have that as an excuse, because we literally have evidence of Martin O'Neill with the same issues in the squad and injuries getting really big results. So yeah, it does kind of, I guess, really early on kind of reflect badly on Wilfried Nancy. I mean, it's clearly, incredibly early. He was appointed 2 or 3 days ago, and obviously you'll get time to get this right. And yeah, it's one game, and I thought there was bits of good in there. I don't know if you would agree with that. I thought in the first half our energy was fairly good. We were pressing Hearts, we were winning the ball back. I thought as a result, Hearts, crazy thing to say when they won, but I thought in the first half they offered very little to the game in terms of like being able to keep the ball. I'd love to know what their maximum number of passes they had together. Whereas I felt that we were kind of controlling that game. So the energy was good. I think you can see bits of what he's trying to do, and hopefully with more time in the training ground that'll come good starting on Thursday. It's just like the lack of quality in that team is quite something. Like we'll do the team first of all, see, because it was interesting. In the first half, he did start with this kind of whatever it is, a 3-4-2-1. So it was basically like you had your back three, which was very clearly Trusty, Scales, and Tierney. You then had wing backs, which was Tenekti on the left, Yang on the right. McGregor and Engels were kind of the deeper midfielders, with Hatate and Nygren in front. And then you had Dyson as our striker. And I thought at times there was kind of bits where it worked. There was some kind of short, sharp passing that we saw. But I found Arne Engels and Rio Hatate, and they're not the only ones, but I found those two really frustrating. I thought they both had horrendous games, and I know that's quite a big word to use, but I just thought the two of them lacked so much quality. The amount of times both of them just gave the ball away. Hatate in the first 10 minutes gave the ball away like 3 or 4 times. Engels just had a shocker. How many times did he pass the ball at the park? So part of me's like, what can Wilfried Nancy do when guys are just misplacing passes? But the reality is, this is going to come back on him if results don't improve.
And as well, it's really surprising because we have talked up Engels and Hatate in the last couple of weeks. Hatate she's been outstanding for us. And Engels has showed a real physical side to a game where he's not been scared to battle, as well as actually, showing a bit of technique that he's not at earlier stages of the season. So it was really disappointing that those two guys reverted back to what we'd seen under Brendan Rodgers. But I think the bit that concerned me before the game, and I said it going into the match, when I looked at that team, I thought, all right, fine. He's tweaked the formation to how he wants to play. He's shown a bit of leadership. Okay, fair enough. Respect that. But I was really surprised at the wing-backs that he went with. Now, if you've watched Yang in recent weeks, Yang's been a player that has been, again, I know Yang goes through stages where he looks brilliant for 3 and 4 games and then he can let you down, right? But Yang he's been excellent out in the left for us, Hamish. And I thought, why are you playing him out in the right? By the way, for the record, I thought Yang get pass marks for me. There was only Trusty,
I agree, yeah.
Trusty, Yang, and Tierney were the only 3 players I thought get pass marks.
Yeah, I agree, but I'd maybe throw McGregor in as well. I thought McGregor was the best of the 4 midfielders, but I mean, Hatate, Engels and Nygren, I thought kind of struggled.
And then, McGregor plays a brilliant diagonal to Tenekti, and Maeda misses a sitter. If that gets in, we're talking about that pass for weeks probably on here. Great ball. But other than that, I thought McGregor was disappointing and he was poor for the first goal, right? But my point was, I thought that if he was going to be playing with a 2 wing-backs, should surely be playing Yang out on the left and then Dyson Maeda out on the right, because he's played there for Japan, remember? All right, look, I know Johnny Kenny's no everyone's cup of tea. I certainly would like to see us go on the market in January for a more prolific and clinical striker. But at Celtic Park in the last few games, he knows where the goal is, certainly. Like, he's done well against Falkirk. Excuse me. He's done well against Kilmarnock. He's been a real penalty box instinctive striker, usually scoring with his only chances. So I thought, Johnny Kenny, at least start him through the middle. Have your wing backs like Maeda and Yang, certainly Yang out in the left there. and at least he'll get some service. But yeah, the balance of the team was all over the place, and a lot of that was just down to the fact that down the left as well, Tierney and Yang in recent weeks have looked really good. Certainly Sadachi and Yang as well. But there's been a real chemistry when Tierney and Yang have played too. And you didn't get any of that from Tenecti as well. The balance was all over the place. I don't want to just single Tenecti outright, but he wasn't willing to work hard enough today. He looked so weak. He looked heartless at times. And again, this isn't all on him, but you can tell when that opening 15 or 20 minutes, Hamish, when we didn't go 1-0 up and it wasn't coming off for him, his head went down, and then everything down our side with Tierney and Tenecti, we get nothing. I would say that boy, was it Steinwender for Hearts? He had a really good game, but he had a really easy game too, because after that initial 15-20 minutes, I think he was relatively untroubled, and that meant Yang had to do so much more to try and be our only creative outlet. And then, you could tell after half an hour or so we were huffing and puffing that much. Hearts really figured their game plan out, and they just let us basically, for that system to work, you have to have really quick, skillful and creative wingers. We just do not have that at all. And Hearts basically shut us completely down down the wings. They just shut that down completely. And then when it went all through the middle, they dominated it, and a lot of that was to do with Cammy Devlin as well. He completely bossed that in the middle, and then that was how they got the win. It took them a while to get into the flow, and then when they did that, Celtic didn't have a plan B, and that's what really concerned me with that team today.
Yeah, but again, like I'd wonder how much of that is just down to the lack of quality. Like you just felt as if at times we got into some good areas, but just didn't make the most of it. Like our final ball, the amount of times like players Tierney or Yang or Tenecti would get to the byline and they'd cut the ball back and it would just go to Hearts players and a Hearts player. And Hearts are clearly quite well organised as a team. They defend well, they get numbers back, as we saw on a few occasions. But it was just that kind of inability to really create chances. Tenecti's a bit of a concern for me. He does this thing where he gets the ball in really good areas and he almost always gets a corner out of it. So people are kind of like, oh yeah, it's brilliant, you got a corner. But he does it every time without actually ever properly doing anything. I've got real question marks over his end product. But again, he's not really been playing in recent weeks. So as you say, why was he put back in? Can Wilfried Nancy change something going ahead to this Roma game? You'd hope that maybe, as I say, a few more days on the training ground, the players can be kind of better, up to speed with exactly what he wants, although clearly it's going to take longer than a few days. He does say that he saw some good things in terms of playing with rhythm, in terms of combining, in terms of unbalancing the opposition and going man-to-man. But like the reality is here, like this isn't pre-season. That wasn't a pre-season game today where you're seeing good things and you're like, you can ramp it up. This is Roma coming up on Thursday night. It's St Mirren in a cup final, which if we play like that is going to be a real battle to win the cup. So he just needs to find a way to get this right really quickly. Like this is a bit of an unusual position. But as I keep saying, Martin O'Neill found a way. I know that's Martin O'Neill, but he found a way with everything going on to win games. And Nancy, who, clearly I can't, emphasise enough how it's one game and he was appointed 2 or 3 days ago. Like, obviously he's going to get time. And I still believe in him, obviously. But he does need to get this right. Ideally starting on Thursday, but certainly needs to win the cup next weekend.
Aye, I mean, there's no question about that now. Massive pressure for him. And I guess if you are Stephen Robinson at St Mirren, after winning at the weekend as well, you're probably looking at that going, the best way to shut down Celtic is just clamp them down the wings and hopefully, again, through the middle, we can dominate. So the manager really has to understand now that that's what teams are going to be doing. Remember under Brendan Rodgers at the start of the season, it was pretty much the same as well. We saw that. All Celtic used to do. Remember, give the ball to Tenecti, who, to be fair to him, was able to shake off players who could carry the ball, and then maybe we could exploit the space elsewhere. But when teams started doubling or even tripling up on him, it was almost like we didn't have an out ball. And then you really saw the results starting to suffer when teams figured that out. I really hope it doesn't sort of go that way for Wilfried Nancy, and it does work in a plan B. If he has to go back to the 4-3-3, so be it. I don't know if he'll do that though. I think he'll want to stamp his authority on this team with this formation.
But he can change things though, can't he? It's not just like
personnel.
He either does. Right. That's what I mean. Like he can make wee tweaks, and there's maybe things he can do with the team. I just think we need so much more from that midfield. Like these are good players. Rail Hatate, Benjamin Nygren, Arne Engels. Like, did those three even really play in the game? Like, fair enough. You notice Engels and Hatate because they're giving the ball away, but Nygren like barely even did anything in that game. It just passed them by completely, and you're like, we need more from these kind of international players.
I just want to make a point to yourself here as well, and by the way, I'm with you on that. I know he needs time, but to flip that as well, he's not going to get time here. He seems like a really good guy. I want him to succeed. Seems likeable enough, but he also took this job knowing full well. I don't think he's naive enough to think this is just going to be a cakewalk for him. Like he must surely understand the pressures involved. Like,
yeah,
it's a crisis at Celtic if you draw, never mind get beat at home. So he would surely have known coming into this role that he was going to be under pressure from day one if he didn't get it right, or even if he did, because I don't think he was the most fancied appointment, certainly. But yeah, it's the fact that he's not had a pre-season to work with these players, that he's had to come right in, so the timing is completely off, but he's still taking the job, and he surely knew the risks involved with that. He's been strong enough to take the job with the risks involved with that as well. So that's why I want to see him succeed. It's really not easy at all, but he's not going to get this time, and he has to get this right on like starting on Thursday. We have to see signs of progress. Like if we go into that game after, like again, I'm harping back to the Martin O'Neill stuff, but Hamish, I'm not exaggerating. There were people screaming and moaning about it at half an hour at 0-0 around me today. Like actually harping back to going, why did we get rid of Martin O'Neill? And he did so much. Like that result over in Feyenoord, for example, it's got us into that point where we can now look ahead to Thursday, that it's an exciting game, it's one to play for. And if Wilfried Nancy now undoes all that good work, there's going to be such a horrible atmosphere going into that final now.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be, but I really want to see the guy do well, but I have my doubts after that today.
Do you, yeah?
I do have my doubts with that, and it just, December's going to be a really grueling month. There's a lot of difficult games in there, challenging, tricky games, as you know, the fixtures just pile up thick and fast. And with these players, he has to get the right balance, and he has to find a way to get the most out of them. And if he's going to continue with that formation, he can't be playing the same team there today either.
Yeah. God, it's so tough, isn't it? Like, it's so tough for him. He comes in, he has a couple of days with the players where he has to try and kind of implement as much as he can. He has all of his kind of various other media things to do as well. He's got all of these injuries. But as I say, like that's the harsh situation, the tough situation that he's come into, and we've got all of these big games, and he, very quickly has to find a way to win. As I repeat, this isn't pre-season. Like virtually every new manager we've had over the past 3 decades or longer have had, where they've been able to bed their ideas in on the training ground. Like that was a tough game. Hearts are a good side. They're very strong defensively. They've got good quality going forward, and they've beaten us twice this season. Now he goes into Roma on Thursday night, and pretty low expectations for that one, I must say. Based on that game there, the lack of quality we have, the fact that Roma are clearly a good step up or two from Hearts, and then that cup final. So it's going to be another big week for him that we're going into. I guess conversely, if he manages to get a result against Roma, even like a draw would probably be viewed as something to work with, and then wins the cup, doesn't matter how he does it, but beats St Mirren, which, Celtic should clearly be doing regardless of what we've got going on, then, he's got a cup already, and I think people do forget about today quite quickly. So, yeah, it's really difficult, and I don't know if we might have some Americans or Columbus Crew fans or whatever, MLS fans tuning in potentially just to see what we're saying about Nancy after his first game. They might think it's totally ridiculous after one game that you're kind of saying, oh God, he needs to get a result pretty quickly. But this is Celtic and this is the pressure, and this is what Wilfried Nancy's walked into.
And this is what he agreed to. So he knew the risks, as I say, he knew what the job was. And this is what it is. It's not fair, but that's his life as a Celtic manager. Hamish, in terms of the goals, I don't know what your thoughts were of them. Certainly where I was sitting, the first goal was a real mystery to me. I remember everybody was confused why it stood. Obviously, the linesman and the ref made the right call. I'm not disputing that, but it was a weird atmosphere because no one seemed to know what was going on for a good couple of minutes until Don Robertson, brilliant ref, of course, points and says it's a goal. So there was real confusion about that. But
I think the players switched off as well, Stevie.
They did.
It was McGregor, I think, and maybe Trusty. They switched off, which is unforgivable.
It's terrible. It was really bad for McGregor too. Like the way, Claudio Braga, who's roughly like the same sort of physique as Callum McGregor. He's most switched on to everybody there. And this is a guy that scored, that was his 10th goal in the Prem today. So this is the fact that he has a real danger man for them. And we were just so passive for the fact that we're thinking, it's all right, it's only Claudio Braga, and he's went on and punished us. The second goal really, really wound me up today because if you watch Hearts, I believe we've got a video analyst, Maxime Chalier. Now, get into that game, do your homework on that and know that Hearts are a team that are so strong at set pieces. Now, see when Shankland had his effort saved, it must have been about 20, 30 seconds for that corner to come in, but the person next to me must have been dying to just leave for how much I went on about it before the corner was taken. But I repeatedly said they've got three at the back, and I kept saying they are brutal from set pieces. Like they've got three at the back, what we're doing. And it was almost like watching it in slow motion when I think Milnes hit that ball to the back post. McEntee's got up unchallenged. There's not even a man on the post or anything, by the way, and he, bullets it in past Schmeichel. Really, really good header, but the marking was criminal. And I just thought to myself, like, Hearts' main strength is from set pieces, and it's the fact that we had three at the back post, and the guys went unchallenged and just nodded it in. And I thought, if I can see this from where I'm sitting, that what was coming, because we just seemed to switch off completely, or just ignore it. As if nothing's going to happen and come for this. It wound me up, and I remember that was the moment. By the way, I didn't even stay for the 90, which isn't like me. About 10 minutes after that, I've just thought, I've had enough, and that was me.
Do you miss the Tierney goal?
I missed it. But when I was walking out, I heard the goal music and everything go in. So
we did have chances late on, like Tierney's goal. We had like a double chance that I think was a good save, maybe from a Yang header, and there was a Hatate shot. I'm trying to remember.
Hatate shot hit off the bar.
Yeah,
but Engels, do you know, it was so weird. Engels was the one with the header, which Schwolo makes a good save from, but it's right at him. But the other week against Hibs, Engels bullets that past the Hibs goal, right into the top corner. It's one of the games, but that second goal for me, Hamish, sorry to bang on about it. I know you probably want to move on, but if you know what Hearts, what their main strength is. Every Celtic fan watching that today would know you can't leave three of the guys at the back post. And I saw it was coming, and I thought to myself, have we even prepared for this visit? Have we prepared for them coming to Celtic Park knowing that was our game plan?
Quite possibly not. Quite possibly not, because there's been so much upheaval, and maybe some of the guys who would have normally been doing prep are no longer at the club. So maybe just some of these guys that have come in from the United States, haven't had the time to look into it. There's a lot going on at Celtic at the moment. I know that seems a bit ridiculous, but I think this game was incredibly early for them all. But again, it was a big game, and we need to see more. I wonder with that second goal, I'm thinking back, I actually forgot that it was a result of the Shanklin shot, that the near post one that Schmeichel saved. Shanklin was potentially offside for that, wasn't he?
They did show us, and I thought he was on by fractions. They showed an angle on Sportscene when I watched it, and it's maybe not fully conclusive. I thought he was on just by as I say, inches. Again, I could be wrong, so it could be a bad call, but that's just going with what I saw earlier on today, and I only had like 10 minutes to watch it before I had to do other stuff in the house. But I thought it was the right call, but you're talking just.
Because Hearts have really struggled in recent weeks since they beat us at Tynecastle, but it's a big win for them. I know you've been quite bold with your, we're going to win the league chat, and I don't mind it, Steve. I don't mind it at all. But have you swayed at all after today, or do you think we'll get it right?
Well, I did say that goal at St Mirren, I thought that was us going to be getting away with it. We won it against Hibs, didn't we? When ordinarily we would have dropped points there. We probably should have, when with the way the second half panned out. And against Dundee, I thought we were terrible too, but we held on and got the win. And I thought, yeah, we're going to probably, and while Hearts drop more points, today kind of throws it all back up in the air. But it's just about how we recover from this now. And the next game in the league, we've got to go and get a convincing win. I think Hearts play Falkirk, not 100% sure, but that'll be a tough game for them. So
that's away as well, isn't it?
I think it is actually, yeah. So again, look, I'm still going to be bullish and say I think we will continue to still get away with it regardless today. But I don't think it's definite. And I think what's more key than ever now is January. Is not just what Celtic do, but Hearts do as well. But certainly now for me, there's no question that if the manager wants to stick to this formation, he has got to be backed in January to bring in players that can play that style. And not only that, Hamish, there's some players in that team now that I'd like to see the back of. I'm not naming names, not going to just single MD out. I think you probably feel the same. There's players that have been there for far too long. They've probably punched above their weight in recent weeks, but I think the day was one of the ones where I just thought, thanks for everything, but I really hope I see certain players moved on now for this club in January.
Thanks for the memories.
Correct, yes. And by the way, a bit of positivity, I must say, look, I thought the three players, Tierney, Trusty, and Yang were the ones that get pass marks. Yeah. Tierney's finished. I know, I don't want to, this is really just sugarcoating it, isn't it? But Tierney's finish really took his goal well. And I thought he was probably, out of them all, probably our best player today.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was a positive, was that Kieran Tierney did look pretty good. But yeah, we move on. It's one game. It's still relatively early in the season. Hearts are going to drop points, but we need to get our own kind of house in order. I think that was Wilfried Nancy's comments after the game, was we need to focus on ourselves. Yeah, I just wonder, a kind of forgotten guy, but Kelechi Iheanacho, is still there. He was on the bench. I wonder, do you bring Iheanacho in for Thursday and go Dyson on the right and maybe get that energy up and down? And then it's a weird thing to say. God knows it's kind of dire, but do you play Yang back in the left? Because Yang is like still really erratic, and we're saying we're giving him pass marks. He wasn't great. Like it wasn't like a great performance or anything like that. He was still frustrating, but he looks a lot more effective than Tenecti at the moment in terms of actually getting into areas and potentially creating something. Although I should point out that Tenecti should have had an assist for Dyson. For that one, he took out the sky and then laid it on a plate for Dyson. Dyson's got to finish that.
Definitely.
So yeah. Paul Tisdale sleeping. Stevie, did you come across that?
I saw that. Who does he think he is? Me? I can't. I can't even get wound up at it. I just burst out laughing.
He did open his eyes, so I don't know if he just dozed off for a few seconds or what. But again, it's just like, it's just how it looks. If it's not Paul Tisdale sleeping, it's Michael Nicholson on his phone. God.
I know. I must admit, I found that funny. Burst out laughing at it, and it's farcical, isn't it? But there'll be no consequences. If any, I'm sure he'll get a wage rise at the end of the year for it.
Yeah, it's just nice to actually see him. I didn't actually know what he looked like. Just also want to mention, I've got some good photos from Gio, who provides the photos for the channel. The legend Gio, of the protests. So there's a march that took place today from St Mary's to Celtic Park, and although it was horrible weather, they got some good numbers for that, so that was great. And also the Green Brigade's food bank collection, which is obviously even more important, and again difficult in the weather, but great to see so many donations there. So and a tough day for the team, some really kind of good work there done by the support and the Green Brigade in particular. Anything else, Stevie, and we'll head off.
I've got a confession to make. You know that I've not been giving Celtic any money. For months, I've stuck to that. No merchandise, no extra cup tickets. I've only really been to league games, and I've been selling off the cup tickets. But yeah, while I've adhered to the Not Another Penny campaign, I did give them some money today. That weather was miserable, awful, and it was freezing, so I had to go to one of the kiosks and get a Bovril. Yes, give me abuse in the comments, please. That's what I live for. But yeah, I did have to buy a Bovril. I think it must have been about £7 or something on Celtic. I don't know.
Oh, no,
I don't know. Well, it might be.
Sorry.
I've not checked my bank account, but listen, don't worry about that. I will stick to it as much as I can. But the next home game, I think, is against Aberdeen, 21st. Is that right? And it's going to be freezing, so don't judge me. All right, my man's going to have his Bovril. But look, other than that, I'm sticking to it, which is good because I'd usually have one of the new tops on or a winter jacket by now, but I'm sticking to my principles apart from the Bovril.
So it's sack the board unless I want a Bovril. Is that what we're going with?
Correct. Do you know what? Let's redefine that slogan just for me. I'll speak to the collective. Hopefully they can accept Bovril and hopefully it's on the green list, shall we say, Hamish?
Sack the board, back the Bovril. There you go. Okay. We'll head off. Stevie, thanks for coming on again. Get to your bed. I know it's not too far off midnight where you are, so really appreciate it. Appreciate all you watching. Disappointing. Very early days, though, under Wilfried Nancy. We move forward and hopefully on to better things. I'll chat to you tomorrow.